Hey, Mike, working on next year's marketing budget. We were looking at investing $65,000 next year and was wondering approximately how much revenue that would bring in, specializing in mostly landscape install work. All right, so I'm always looking for a 10 to 20 times multiple on my marketing dollars, at least. Now, for landscaping, I'm looking for more like 20x, simply due to the fact that revenue, you have materials and all the rest of it incorporated in there, as well as the fact that you're not going to get recurring revenue from a landscaping job unless you like upsell them on maintenance. But when it comes to landscape install work, you're not going to get that recurring revenue, so you need to have it at 20 times revenue, 20 times what you spend in marketing. Like, so if you spent $65,000 in marketing, I would expect that to pull in at least 1.2, 1.3 million in terms of gross revenue from landscaping. All right. That's a lot of money. You got to make sure you spend that wisely. You don't want to just do it all in 1 month or like do it, just don't spend 20 grand on a print marketing campaign. Like, you got to be smart about this. And when I used to use that 10 to 20x multiple, I'm talking about like advertising that works. I've seen people, they spend $5 on advertising and they make $5 in revenue. It's not a good marketing campaign. You should ditch it. You should abandon it. You should figure it out. You should educate yourself. When I say 10 to 20x, that's what we use at Augusta as our standard. And so if I spend $10,000 in marketing, I expect $100,000 to $200,000 in the next 12 months. But for us, a lot of that's going to be maintenance. So then the year after that, we can build on it. So if you're doing strictly mowing, you might be more like 12, 13 times. But if you're doing landscaping, you need to be up 18, 19, 20 times what you're spending in marketing, because otherwise you're just not going to be able to, because you don't have any recurring revenue, right? You don't get any benefit from selling someone today after the job. So it's definitely something you want to have a higher multiple on when it comes to revenue. But again, how much revenue should you bring in? I think you should bring in at least 1.2 from using 65,000 in gross or in marketing, and that's because you're focusing on landscaping. All right. If you were just focusing on mostly maintenance, that number might be $600,000, $700,000. All right. And you don't have to spend that much, by the way, too. We have some of the franchisees that literally spent $10,000 and they'll do $250,000 in revenue this year. Right. So that's 25x. And they're mostly doing mowing. So it's not like that's the standard. I'm just saying 10 to 20x is what we want to be inside of, and it's going to range usually towards the lower end of that spectrum if you're doing maintenance, higher end of that spectrum if you're doing install. But with maintenance, you get the recurring aspect where next year you get that same revenue without the cost of acquisition.